People are asking like, how do you become a Don and stuff like that? You answer stuff like that all the time, but I want to know because like we're in a similar career path. What's the next step? Like, what are the next goals for Hamza?
I've made 1,000 videos on self-improvement, so I don't want to keep repeating myself.
There's only so much you could say.
Yeah, stop touching yourself. Go to the gym. Do you know what I mean? So these days I'm talking a lot. I'm talking a lot more about business and entrepreneurship because that's been a huge vessel of improvement for me. And I've noticed how much of an impact it has when you have a successful business. Even if you make 1K a month, you've taken off so much pressure from your family. Your family have got some random bill that stressed your father out. If you could give him $200, suddenly like your whole household is calmer. So these days I'm helping a lot of the young guys start their own first businesses, get a following online, learn how to monetize it, learn how to be productive. Because level one is like, okay, let's get these guys onto self-improvement, let's get them to improve their mental health. But past that point, self-improvement's like, it takes you to a certain level and then you get so capable that you have so much energy and productivity that you then want to use that as a gift for other people. And you can do charity work, but for many young guys, they also need to make money too. That's just entrepreneurship. So that's what I'm focused on this year.
I forgot to mention, we are running a charity right now, projectiftar.org/SNEAKO for people who want to feed families. Every $2 feeds one person, so if you guys want to do charity and cleanse your wealth, that's awesome. A great way to do a Project Iftar. It's been very successful so far.
That's awesome. I'll speak to you about that afterwards.
Yeah, of course. Awesome, how are you preparing to, that's another thing we got in common, is that you're preparing for fatherhood. When are you going to be ready to settle down and have kids, to stop traveling the world,
Honestly, I've been ready for the past few months. Honestly, it's like, so.
How old are you? You're 26?
26, yeah. So I've done a lot of research. So basically the first big step is finding out where you want to have the children, which country. And so far, England is probably my top option, England or Scotland. And the reason why is because the homeschool laws here are very lenient.
You want the mother of your kids to homeschool?
Not the mother, just like
tutors?
We'll have tutors. I'm a good teacher myself, but we'll just have tutors and stuff because I've got money for that. And I think it's absolutely essential that you homeschool your children. Otherwise, no matter what school you go to, even in Switzerland, which has the best schools, there's still so much conditioning they'll go through. They're sat next to other kids which are just brain dead. They're all making fun of your daughter because she doesn't have TikTok or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So if you're a base person, you're not on like media.
Okay, one sec. We got to change the battery real quick.
Oh yeah, no worries.
One problem.
Oh, changing battery. I have been lost my mind for a long time. I've been waiting for this live stream for a long time and I didn't sleep.
Scotland, though. Yeah. The only thing I know about Scotland is Skyfall from James Bond and like the thick accents and the skirts. Why Scotland?
No one moves to Scotland other than me, bro. But it's basically where you go if you want to have a very rural experience. You want to have your own land. You want to have.
You really value the outdoors, huh?
Very much so, especially for my children, bro. Like I'm in a city right now because I want to be connected to other guys. I want to have this fast-paced lifestyle and enjoying this.
When you're building, it's good to be around a lot of people.
It's awesome, yeah. It's so nice because a lot of like the development from my level that I've got to is like I need these conversations. It's this moment, this conversation will be in my mind for the next year when I talk about Islam, when I talk about streaming, whatever. So, but for my children, it's countryside only, and not just like an urban place where you've got a back garden. No, like a massive field. They can go out. You're not worrying about them, going over to the neighbor's house and they're feeding them seed oils or tap water or telling them what gender.
How many genders are,
do you know what I mean? So you need your own place. Basically, the best case scenario that I've researched and come up with is building the compound where you've got a bunch of land, you've got 4, 5, 10 houses in there of the people that you love, the family. So my brother, his wife, we've got other families.
A trusted community.
That's how we should be living.
Yeah.
No one should be living just solo. Like it makes it okay. If you're in the big city, you're here for a little while. You're traveling, business.
It's good to build, but do you believe in that phrase? It takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too. That it'd be good to have like a wife that's doing a lot of the homeschooling. You have tutors, but I can't see myself being domesticated and living there all the time.
Oh no, the man should still go out to war.
That's what I agree. All the fathers that I travel with, like all these guys, they're always on the go. Like they're very home. Like I don't know if you know Sartola Shooter, he's in Dubai.
Yeah.
Mohammed Ajab. these guys they have kids, but they're always doing something, and it's different than how the fathers in my community were. I think it's important to really maintain your masculinity and be able to. The hunter always has to go out, and then he returns and he brings the food back to the tribe. He's not always there with the mom changing the diapers with the cubs.
That's just, I was literally just on a podcast talking about this, and I said, okay, visualize the warrior and the goddess. Imagine a relationship before feminism, before estrogenics and low testosterone. How did man and woman actually interact? It was warrior and goddess. What that means is, warrior is off at the training camp, away from home for weeks at a time. Brutal training, waking up next to his brothers, into the cold lake, Spartan training, whips, and getting beaten by wooden swords to toughen him up. And then he gets leave for 24 hours. He's allowed to go back home to see his woman. Imagine him walking through that hut. Is he going to like cuddle up in bed and start watching Netflix or something? No. They're going to go primal, like animalistic for literally like 8 hours straight. They're non-stop. They're just going to be making love. And then he's off again. Yeah. And think about it. They saw the best of each other. Right. They saw masculine and feminine polarity. That's all they saw. They didn't see like poo-poo stains in the toilet.
They're not seeing the weak moments from the father, and that's going to leave a giant impact on the child.
What's that?
They're not seeing, the Cubs are never seeing the father have any weak moments.
Yeah, exactly. He's a superhero. So he's off training right now, superhero. He comes back in and he's polarized with the mother. He's given us his full undivided presence. He's here for a short amount of time, which makes him more valuable, makes him more respected. And the moment he leaves, his children, especially his woman, yearn for him again. It's like it's kind of like scarcity. There's always less of you than they want. Whereas the modern relationship where you move in together and you're just friends 24/7, all you've just done is take away masculine and feminine and meet in the middle of this weird gray,
the 50-50 equal relationship.
Which is like, yeah, sure, like have a friend if you want. But a woman's never going to be as good of a friend to you as a man is. No. So all you've just done is taken the magic of sexual polarity, diminish it, and you've just got like a weird, like, kinda okay friend.
It's kind of like a lesbian relationship. Yeah. One thing that it's controversial, but I don't really like spending that much time with women. Yeah. It just seems like the conversations, like recently since I reverted, I've gone on a few dates. I know it's around, it's not perfect, but I'll go on I'll take a girl out to a dinner and hang out with them, and the conversation cannot be. Now that I'm more clear-headed and I understand what I want for the future and what I believe in, it cannot be more of a waste of time. Talking about astrology, what movies she's seen. Yeah. Her interests are just not my interests whatsoever. And she's asking, like, oh, how many brothers do you have? Oh, how many when were you born? Oh, and her stories are not interesting. And I'm pretty much just trying to impress her. She's trying to sound cultural. She has nothing there's no value that I could extract from that conversation. And it's like, well, why am I going to try to impress this girl that I don't want to spend time with? So I've cut that out completely. Hopefully, when I get married, like, I want to
Sorry, guys, I'm just going to...
You got to get going? Oh, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for coming, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Take care of yourself, bro.
Take care, bro.
One of the main criticisms that I have with the red pill people and the manosphere, if you will, is that they don't seem to value intelligence in women. Like they kind of want the dishwasher, submissive. They'll only talk about submissiveness. But I would like to have an intelligent woman that I could have a conversation with too. What do you think is the ideal mother? Because now you're training and you're actively working to become the ideal father. What's the balance to that?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, that's something that I found in the red pill community as well. They really want the traditional relationship on her side, not on theirs. And then, like, just having a woman who basically is just does chores around the house and lets you have sex with her. That's like, oh yeah, it's fine, but it's not the ultimate level. Like, I think you should have a woman who you find is incredibly interesting, well-educated, has stories. You find her, like, so inspiring. So, like, for example, you could have two different women, but one of them you just find is so inspiring that you want to work harder. There's women that you've probably been around who, like, you notice that your body language is better. You notice that your voice is deeper, that you're more masculine. You're staring into her eyes. You have no thoughts in your brain. And those are the women that are often quite feminine and submissive. And, like, for example, you can go on a date with a girl, and she can tell you, like, she can be a good storyteller. She's well educated, she reads books, she stays on top of current affairs and has, like, good viewpoints. And that can be an interesting conversation, and there's a lot of, like, tension that can happen in that. There's a lot of flirting that can happen. But I totally agree with you. No matter how pretty a girl is, if she's completely and utterly boring and uninteresting and uneducated, that's going to be your life partner.
Exactly. The vast majority of women are the most uninteresting that they've ever been because they all worship celebrities.
Yeah.
It's not their fault because what the lack of men who are giving them guidance. Women are always going to be programmed by the masculine, by the men that are around them, and men have never led more meaningless lives. So as a result, they end up worshiping celebrities. They end up worshiping Kim Kardashian, the rappers, like the girls that they see on Instagram, and all they're doing is pushing them to promiscuity because they believe that female empowerment is being a whore, effectively, is being, being a prostitute, going on private jets, Birkin bag. I talked to a girl and she said she's 35, and every time she goes on a first date, she asks the guy to show her bank balance. He has to show her bank balance in order to impress her. It's never been more vapid and materialistic ever, and so they have nothing to talk about. But a lot of you have to blame the men for that as well. And it makes me think, like, you talk a lot about meditation, and since I reverted, I've been taking prayer very seriously. This Ramadan, haven't missed a prayer yet. 5 prayers every single day. It's a lot.
Nice.
And I used to try meditation, but I never. It would kind of get clouded, and I wasn't sure about what to think about. Prayer, I prefer because it's very clear about what your intention should be. I'm always thinking about the health for my family, the health for my friends around me, for more strength and for more guidance to be able to protect myself from the devil, and just for praying for the people that are suffering in Gaza. What do you get from meditation? Because I was never fully able to connect with meditation.
There's loads of different styles of meditation. So the one that I preach is called Vipassana, which is like mindfulness. It's kind of like the counter to a lot of the ADHD symptoms, where you focus on one point, like the breath, the rise and fall of your stomach. And you're actually waiting for the moment that your brain has deviated focus. That's like, we're not actually upset at the moment that we get a thought. We realize that's part of the practice. And the exercise of meditation, like the bicep curl of meditation, is actually just bringing the focus back to the breath once we realize that we've lost it. So every time that we realize we've lost it and we bring the focus back, that's like we've just done one bicep curl for the brain. So we're looking out for the opportunities. You'll do it 24/7 now that you know it. We're having this conversation. Maybe in 5-10 minutes from now, you'll notice that your brain just started thinking of something irrelevant. When that happens, bring your focus back here, and that's like one more rep for your brain to stay focused on the present moment. Yeah,
that's a great way to put it. Because everything from the phone and everything that we see now, it's pushing people's brains to be completely distracted all the time, to be thinking about things that don't matter. So you need to work on your focus like you're doing reps in the gym. Absolutely. That's a great way to think about it. I think I do that pretty absent-mindedly, and it's because I started self-improvement. It's thinking about how to cut out those distractions. Ramadan has been really effective at doing that because focusing on not eating and praying all the time, like little things like picking my nails, I have this issue like that. I'm more aware of all those problems, like stuttering in conversation, or where my thoughts go. Like if I take a picture with somebody outside, like how does my brain react to that? I'm very aware about every thought that I have and how to become, how to get rid of all the fluff and how to get rid of any little distractions that I have. Do you have vices? That's one thing that I've been thinking a lot about during Ramadan. Is obviously like something like shisha is a vice. It's not haram, but it's not recommended. I came from, like, obviously I used to be, after being a Catholic, I was kind of an atheist, and I was doing drugs and like degenerate stuff like that, like too many women and all this. But cutting that out, I've been more focused. But sometimes I do have that yearning and that urge to be like, okay, well, I think sometimes it'd be nice to have a drink. It'd be nice to be able to go to the club. Do you have any sort of vices?
What would you say a vice is?
A vice is anything that's pleasure-seeking that's away from your mission. I think the ultimate mission is to become the best example, to inspire others to follow God, to be a good role model for your family, to be brave, all the things that make a man a good man. So anything that does not follow that specific mission, where you got to step away from that, and the dad goes into the garage and then smokes a little weed while the kids are upstairs playing, and like he's had a long day of work. His little escapism. I would say a vice is an escapism from your mission. Do you have any of those?
Loads of them. So many of them, bro.
Do you try to cut them out?
Of course. Yeah, of course. But like the desire for the food that used to give me comfort during my most traumatic moments.
Oh,
desire, food is a big one.
Did you used to be fat?
Huh?
Did you used to be fat?
I was chubby. I was like, okay. I wasn't fat, but I was chubby though, yeah. And the desire for women and like the intimacy that you feel like you lacked when you were younger, I don't know, I'd even say validation is a vice as well.
100%.
Honestly, I had a weird dream, literally just this morning, where I felt like I organized this meetup and all my boys were, having fun in like this massive park. And it was literally just me becoming aware of like, oh, but like I'm not getting attention. We should all come back here. And I was like, I woke up, I was like, you're lame as fuck. Like I wanted everyone to stop playing the sports and like come look at me. And I was like, oh shit, like if you're in this career, you crave validation, not only
100%.
for whatever like deep internal problem,
but being
also
successful at
it's
this job,
business as well. Yeah,
so it means you're doing well.
We've monetized our inner child.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm wondering how you deal with that. I think that's something that we can relate on that a lot of people don't fully understand. What? I think Warner does a good job of that because he's successful on social media, but you don't have any sort of that like attention seeking or the need to be, the center of attention. Your full focus is on dawah.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because I'm not inviting people to myself. Myself, I'm full of flaws. I'm full of mistakes. I'm inviting people to Allah, which is greater than me. So for me, my job is easy. I just invite people to the perfect one. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that, bro. For me, there's no ego in this.
Right.
Yeah, there's no ego in this.
Yeah, how much of your ego is involved? It's an imperfection. It's something that all content creators have, that I have, I'm sure you have. How are you? What goes through your mind? This is actually a question that I can't relate to a lot of people on. Like when you have people come up to you and take pictures and like, glaze or whatever they say, like, they're really excited. Where does your brain go?
There's a few different things. So I've got to make a good impression. I've got to look good in the picture because he's going to share it. So a lot of the times my brain says like negative things about people the first time I meet them. It's just, I don't know why, like inner critic or something. And I often have to manually say something nice about the person in my brain.
To offset the negative.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like I'll meet a kid who's new to a self-improvement journey. He's not in shape.
Yeah.
And my brain will start criticizing him
Dork.
for that. Yeah. And I'll literally fat this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I have to remind myself, no, wait, like, he's going to the gym, remember? Like, when I was 17, 18 years old, I deserved the level of respect for actually going out there into the world. So it's often quite negative, I won't lie to you. It's a lot of the self-improvement, like the mental things that I've done, it's like an uphill battle of manually trying to change the words that your brain says and the feelings that you get. It's one of the greatest bits of transformation for me is mind and body feelings and learning how to control them. Like, you'd be surprised of just how powerful faking a smile can be. I fake a smile and like literally like 10 seconds later, I'm actually fairly cheerful.
Yeah, there's studies that show that like standing up in the morning and putting just your hands up in the air or standing like Superman, that actually increases dopamine.
Testosterone.
Testosterone. It just puts you in a better mood. That's what I did in the bathroom,
bro, before I came here. That's why I was late.
It's a good way to get in the right mindset, bro. Like that's all part of it, bro. It'll give you more confidence.
We were actually wondering, like, yo, where's he at?
Yeah. Well, it puts you in the right mindset, 100%, bro.
No, I was waiting for him to get changed, bro. He's like, oh, wait 1 sec, let me change my jumper or something.
In terms of your personal self-improvement, where do you think that you've improved on since we had beef in 2022? What's been the major developments? I'm not sure. I want to think of mine, but I'm curious about what yours have been.
Loads, bro. Limiting beliefs around money was a huge one. So I was stuck in this negative mindset that if I was an entrepreneur, that would be a bad thing. That if I was making money, that was, people would criticize me for that. You must have had it. It's like you release a program and your most loyal fans dislike you for it. And they say like, oh, it was all for money. And you look at them and think like, wait, but you're a young man who wants to make money as well. Like, why would you hate me on this when like you could be inspired and learn from it? So I was very, very sensitive towards like seeing the comments. And that stopped me as an entrepreneur, which the biggest thing I'm ashamed of was that I had people relying on me and I wasn't monetizing well. And so I had to fire good people because I couldn't afford to keep them because I was just afraid of
I remember you had quit YouTube and you'd fired your editors.
Because it was the most stressful period of my life. We weren't profitable. Like, we were making all these purposeful videos changing the world, but it wasn't profitable. People were calling me like a sellout businessman. We were losing money every single day. We were losing like $500 a day to make these like videos that were popping off on the algorithm.
But the reception with the audience was probably the best it ever was.
It was crazy back then.
That was like that before I started live stream, when I was making those like artistic videos that spent 2 weeks grinding, like filming, editing, re-editing. It's like I spent like a week on a 4-minute video. Yeah. And then it's demonetized because I'm cursing and I'm talking about real world issues. You make no money on it, and then but everyone nowadays is like, oh, I miss the old stuff. You seem like you changed, like you sold out. Like, well, you know, now I'm more successful. I'm more effective. I'm able to talk faster. I'm able to put more. There's more output times 10.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do that forever. It's not sustainable long term.
Your old videos, they were iconic and artistic. But I remember having that conversation with you where you actually asked me, like, should you maybe go back to making more videos like that or continue live streaming? And I saw the change in you where even though you are an artist, something flipped and you actually started to want to send more of a message instead of just creating art. What was that?
I think it was waking up to how controlled I was as a man. I mean, they do try to suppress masculinity. They do want you to fit into their agenda. And it was a built up frustration with like, okay, the whole system that's laid out for me, it's all a lie. I'm not going to abide by this. And I wanted everybody to know, like, if you can't listen to them. Everything that they're telling you to do is you should do the exact opposite. And so it came from a place of anger. And now I consider what I do extremely. I think it's the best work that I could be doing. Obviously, I do want to return to those artistic videos too. I still make some. I don't know if you've seen Letter from Mecca. I made a video for my first Umrah back in November. But it's difficult now because I don't have a YouTube channel. You know, I'm very limited in what I'm supposed to be doing. There's a big part of me that yearns to be able to make those videos again. But if I was posting them on Rumble, let's be honest, like how many people? It'd be a fraction of the people. It'd be a big waste. Twitter's good to do that type of thing, but I do plan on going back to that. I don't think streaming is my full purpose. You know, it has been those videos that you're talking about, but. How did you win the respect again of your audience when you started to branch out and you weren't, you know, just in your room with the hood on? How did you get that respect back from the core audience that thought you were selling out by branching out more and making it profitable?
Honestly, I don't think I really did. I think I've just started to develop a newer audience. So I got a massive audience of, you know, like young teenagers, and I had to evolve. Which I know that's one of the things I respect you for, is that you've never delayed your evolvement as a man, even though there's so many people who are pressuring you to say, like, you know, be like the old SNEAKO, be like this. Like, you're basically a lesser version of yourself just because they're able to relate to you more, which is an extremely selfish and like a very painful thing to hear as a creator, because you're like, people are just saying like, oh, you've surpassed me. I wish you'd slow down because I felt like we were closer and more friend-like. Like our parasocial relationship was better, and yeah, it's insane. So I don't even think I've regained the respect of people. I think I permanently lost the respect of the original audience many of the original audience that I built.
Which is strange to me because it seems like you're talking about the same things.
It's just that now it's more entrepreneurship because of how much it changed my life and how much it would change theirs. But there's certain topics, like with you, it'll be religion. With me, right now, I'm in the season of entrepreneurship, where it's just people are very sensitive towards that. Like, as soon as you came out as Muslim, I guarantee you lost like thousands of subscribers. You started getting more hate. I assume you did, like, you know, from people who are atheist. And for me, it's like, it's the same thing where it's a sensitive topic, and so people just find a way to be offended with it, with no matter what your decision is.
They're always going to be upset. I mean, you can't listen to that. You can't listen to those people. The only way as a man is to continue to grow and improve every single day. You're never going to be the same Hamza. You have to continue to improve. The only way is forward. But when you talk about entrepreneurship, where does that go? Does it stay online? Does it go to real estate? Does it go to a physical business? That's something that I wrestle with all the time, because I don't see myself doing content creation forever. I don't see myself doing streaming forever. I do envision a life where I can finally step away from the camera and I don't need to constantly think about the validation from people or having to appease an audience that always is begging you to be a certain way. There's a time where I could see myself, you know, getting out of that and being able to live a more realistic life, like that vision of Scotland, you know, homeschooling the kids and all that. That seems appealing. But then at the same time, it's like, can you really get out at a certain time? Like, has your brain been wired so much to get used to the output of video admiration videos? Like, How do you get out of that routine? Because the dopamine levels, the up and down, and then you check your YouTube and you see like that 1 out of 10 and that dopamine, of course. Everybody, YouTuber knows that like there's almost no feeling like that. It's better than cocaine. It's better than sex. It's better than anything. It's getting that number one. Like I did it. I surpassed it. And a content creator is only good as his last video. Yeah. You're only as good as your last stream, no matter how much you put out. It's like you'll spar Sean Strickland and then it's, all right, what's the next fighter I'm going to fight? Yeah. Like you can't ever bask in the glory of anything. This life is always the pursuit of something more, and if you always pursue that in terms of happiness, you're never going to be happy. I'm finding more peace in Islam because pursuing God is something is a higher pursuit for me. But do you think that you're in too deep? Can you ever get out, or do you want to?
Of course, you can have seasons of your life, and I feel like this season, like this decade for us, like our 20s, has all been about content creation. But I can't imagine we'd be grinding as hard when we're 30, 40 years old. And so what if, for example, in the decades of our lives, we're able to look back to our 20s with sweet memories of that time that we like, you took over the internet, you had this beef, everything, you had this, this life experience, you were flying out, meeting these people, doing these events.
Is that any way to live as a man? That's why you see fighters never retire and then lose their last 6 fights in a row. Yeah. Or you see like a washed up athlete who's still like, like you're 45, like hang up the boots, Do you think that, how are you going to be able to appreciate your career without missing, or how do you dial back that terms of that adrenaline? I think the only athlete that I've ever seen successfully leave a perfect legacy is Habib. Yeah. Habib Nurmagomedov, again, like one of the best known like Muslims on deen in the public eye, probably in the last 20 years or maybe ever. Do you think that you can hang up the boots? Do you think that you're ever going to be able to recreate that sort of adrenaline? Because as a man, it's hard to domesticate yourself again. When you're used to a certain level, like once you start making $10,000 a month, and I see people in my community all the time, like once you start getting, like there's no way you can go back. When I first dropped out of school and I was making $2,000 a month, I thought I was rich. And then you make $10,000 a month, and then you see what that life was like. And then you make, 6 digits a month. There's no way I'd be able to turn it back just in terms of ego. Right? How are you going to find that adrenaline not living life chronically online?
Maybe.
Some waters and maybe a couple more teas. Ginger teas and maybe a couple more coffees too.
Hey, you want anything, brother?
Thank you. No, that's all. Yeah, nice one.
There's 3 waters here. So just a couple of ginger teas and a couple of coffees, please. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. How can you find that same level of stimulation again?
Yeah.
Maybe you won't, thank you. Maybe you won't.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Maybe it goes from this ADHD stimulation of, the chat spamming the W's or L's or something. And maybe then it goes to like the stimulation of seeing your child smile as you teach them something. It's not the same kind of, fast-paced, like, internet, like, you just screaming on camera. So, like, it's not the same as that. But, like, imagine your little girl, like, doing that kind of, like, scream to you. Like, that's going to be your stimulation in the future, and that's still beautiful.
Yeah, and that's growth. That's getting to the next level 100%. Yeah. Why don't you have kids yet? I always envision, I'm wondering about this for you as well. I always wanted to have kids young.
Yeah.
I'm 25. When I was a teenager, when I was that kid like jerking off in my room playing Call of Duty all day, I thought like I'm going to be a young father because I want to be able to play. I want to be able to box with my son. Yeah. I want to be able to play soccer with him. Yeah. I don't want to be an old dad who doesn't have enough vitality to give him good experiences. But I'm 25 and I still don't have a kid.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about fatherhood from you.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a beautiful thing. You asked me why I'm not a father yet. There was I was fairly certain I'd be an expecting father
by now?
late last year or by now, yeah. Because, I mean, finances is set, and I do feel like I'm mature enough, and I'm sure that I'd learn on the job as well. And I'm quite prepared. I'm healthy. I've already set, like, the full-on homeschooling plan and the fertility plan and everything. I like to, think things through. So I know, like, the diet that I'd go on when we're getting ready to conceive and stuff like that. So all of that's prepared. It's just I ended up feeling more called towards this season of life, where I really asked myself, what would be the ultimate, like, lifestyle that I could have right now? And it would be just keep spreading this message more. I did that sort of, let's hunker down in Scotland and let's get ready to, like, we were looking at houses there. And I lost a lot of that edge of myself, that domesticated man personality came out into me. And I realized, like, just at one of the last moments that wasn't the kind of lifestyle that I'd want to live, even with children. I'm confused of the last part of, like, what is the best dynamic for the father? Because having tested the lifestyle that we would have, which is, you know, me and my woman live in this countryside, and we've got, like, you know, our little compound here. We had the next, like, cottage or building over with my brother and his wife. And I wasn't satisfied with life, even with setting up the perfect thing. Like, we were in the most beautiful area. And it was because, like...
There wasn't enough ambition?
There was more work to do. Way more work. It's like, that's the environment which I think would be best for my family, but not for me. And I think that's what I need to come to terms with. And I think, like, that's what you're thinking as well, is I don't think a man is supposed to be in the same home as his wife and children 24/7. I don't think it's healthy. No. But it's so strange to not consider that. So me and my girl, we would always have, like, not arguments, but, you know, massive disagreements, because she found it so strange. She was like, what do you mean? Like, we'd never live together. And I was trying to figure out, like, what would we do? Should I just get a house next to hers or something? Should I, you know, I'll be constantly moving around, but she isn't. Like, that's where I'm stuck at now, is thinking about the actual, like, living dynamic. Because one thing I know for certain is man, woman, living in the same house, 24/7, especially with our kind of work, like working from home.
It's not it.
It's a destruction for relationships. It's terrible just how much your relationship suffers.
And the women don't understand. They're like, oh, why don't you want to spend time with me? It's like, well, I want to maximize the time with you.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to, you got to tell your girl, like, you're going to love me more if you see me less.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to be able to explain to them. They think that they want all your time and attention, but if they have all of it, you're not going to be, they're going to end up despising you. That's the quickest way to destroy a relationship.
It's really not about quantity. There's a phrase in a book I really like, which is that if your woman is demanding too much of your time, tell her that you can give her a specific amount of time with your undivided presence. So 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And that your woman will actually be happier with 10 minutes of your full-on presence, where you're, like, just staring into her eyes, you're being really romantic, than 3 weeks with you next to her, checking your phone, and, you know, just being a normal guy, and, like, kind of speaking to her, but also thinking about business. Like, one of the things I learned, you know, you asked me the biggest changes I had in 2023. It was presence and love and spirituality. It was like, I have such a capability to love in such a deep way that I didn't even think was possible. You know, I always assumed love and relationship was like, you guys go on dates, you have sex, you hang out together. I was able to tap into, like, a certain energy, like Shiva-like energy, where I'm able to, like, stare at her eyes and make her feel 100% loved. And I've realized now that 30 seconds of me doing that with my hands, like, on her cheeks and, like, you know, staring into her eyes is far better than an entire date.
Then yapping all day long and looking up in the sun.
Oh, what did you do? What did you do today? And none of that matters.
Biggest trap and also it domesticates you. Your testosterone gets low. You get too comfortable. It's not going to work. And that's why women fall in love with guys that are in prison. Yeah, and then they write them every single day. It's the idea. You romanticize it. So much of love and a proper relationship is just the idea of the person, is the yearning. And that woman who's at home, like, staring through the window thinking, when is her husband going to come back from war, you know?
Exactly.
That sort of love is stronger than when you're there all the time.
Yeah.
It's an almost impossible thing to describe to a woman.
It's just scarcity, that's it. If you're there, your value decreases because your time is so abundant together. But when you're constantly having to go off somewhere, it means that the time that you do have is far more valuable. You're going to have to spend it, right? If it's like Parkinson's law, or it's kind of like when you've got a deadline for an exam, you're going to get it done in time. You've got to, whatever the assignment is at 7 p.m. today, you suddenly just focus and get it done. It's like having deadlines with the time that you have for women. It's like, no, I literally have 35 minutes. That's all I've got. And imagine just that once per week. What's she going to see from you? Is she going to see you scrolling? Is she going to see you, like, you know, like, I don't know, killing time or doing some weird shit or whatever, you know, quickly business call, or, oh, let me just write that. No, of course not. She's only going to see the most present, loving version of you, which means that, yeah, fair enough, the quantity isn't there. But when do you need high quantity to attract a woman? Anyway, the mysterious, like, you'll remember this from the player days, like, being more mysterious and detached is primarily attractive to a woman. Now, just have that in a non-haram way with your wife.
100%. Yeah. Do you recommend that young guys get into relationships, or do you recommend that they build themselves up first? The moment that I'm at right now in my life is that I get encouragement from all these guys, Warner, Muhammad Ajab. They always tell me, like, oh, you need to where are your wives? Where are your 2, 3, 4 wives? And I'm working so hard right now, and I'm in the stage of building where I think that having a woman, and even like seeing her scarcely, that would distract and that would take away from what I'm trying to do. So I would recommend, especially with how easy it is for a man to get lost in a woman now. I'm sure you've seen this all the time. That's the quickest way that a man can get distracted and to lose himself, is investing too much in a woman, is obsessing about what are the times that, how long is she going to take back to reply to my text. I'm sure you've done that before. Like, there's been times like in high school, early on, late teens, 20s, where I would like wait to double the response time. Like, if she texted me after 5 minutes, I was looking at the clock, like 5 minutes, okay, set a timer, like wait 10 minutes. Okay, how was your day? How was your? And it's just you're just sinking your time into nothing. Yeah. So, and I think the reason that happens is because like we're too oversensitized with porn and things like that. So it's become more of an obsession than it ever has been. So right now, like cleansing my mind of all that, it's like in Islam we say we make wudu before we pray. So you wash your hands, you wash your head, and everything before you pray to God. Right now, I feel like I'm making wudu of women. So I'm just like all this, like I've been way too distracted from the player stuff. Just let me cleanse that, get out of my, like completely take out porn. Like every time I see a beautiful woman, like lower my gaze, just reset my mind, because we're so stimulated when it's the most over-sexualized culture has ever been. And ironically that people are having less sex than ever because it's thrown in our face all the time. You're not going to be attracted to a regular girl if you're seeing like the celebrities like bend over and grab their vagina on stage. Do you recommend that guys, actually look for a good relationship, or do you think that's too much of a distraction and they should go their own way?
I think a relationship and learning how to love is a big part of your own self-improvement journey. But the problem is doing that with the wrong woman. So the advice that I give out to guys is be on the lookout and be open to meeting an incredibly high quality girl. Set massively high standards. Even if you're young, let's say even if you're 13 years old, set massively high standards to establish what would be your 10 out of 10 dream wife.
And don't compromise.
That's it. You meet her when you're 13 years old, I would give you my blessing to like actually pursue that relationship and spend time with her. Because look, if you meet a wife quality girl, you're 14 and she's 14, it would be absurd to say like, oh no, but it's a distraction, because that's not a distraction. That's your fucking woman. That's like the mother of your children. You meet that high quality woman, it's not a distraction. That's part of like, you're just going to have to learn the skill of having that woman in your life if she's that high quality. The problem is guys will just lower their standards because most guys are so deprived from intimacy and obsessed with porn, and they don't get any matches on Tinder. No girls are interested in them.
So they see a girl that is, and they don't want to lose that.
This is the tricky part. They get onto self-improvement. They start doing these productive things that they hear from me and you, and every 3 to 6 months they've increased in value, and then they attract the first like low tier 4 out of 10 girl that showed them some attraction, and then they say, oh no guys, she's actually an 11 out of 10, but she vapes. And then that's their reality. They fall in love with her and then say that she's on self-improvement because they made her meditate once. And then, they're falling in love, and then they're getting so sad when she wants to go out and party. And every day there's a post in Adonis School which people will be like, oh, she's my, dream wife quality girl, but I don't know if I want to be with her because she parties a lot. And I always I swear at him. I was like, are you retarded? I literally will, like, I swear at my boys all the time. I was like, are you retarded?
They need to hear that.
You told me she's wife quality, but she parties too much and you're thinking about breaking up. Where the hell did wife quality come in for this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think with high standards, I would give a young man my blessing.
With high standards only.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this, because I struggle with this. I think that I think porn is the quickest vice that destroys a man's soul. I think nothing corrupts a man's soul quicker than pornography, and that's why it's pushed so much. Because
thank you, brother.
Thank you. If they can corrupt us as soon as possible, then they win. Then we're relying on them forever. And then we're looking for solutions. We're not on our mission. We're not going to be following God. We're not going to be doing the right thing. How do you get out of porn addiction?
This is a lesson I learned from the gym. It's progressive overloading, but kind of like in the opposite way.